Alright, so we are live and I'm going to start recording as well. So in this live I'm going to do something that I don't think I've ever done before. I'm going to try to create a whole app live while you watch me coding and see me go through the pain of creating an app from scratch. Well, sort of from scratch. So basically I'm going to be creating a YouTube to written content app. So it's going to be a web app that will allow you to pass in the YouTube URL of any YouTube video that you want, and then with just one click it'll turn it into written content. This can be either a blog post, a summary, an article, a Twitter/X thread, even a summary or key takeaways. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's go ahead and check this out. All right. So I'm gonna start working from a template that I already had for another app that I built before. This app is Cookies. Cookies allows you to set up banners, cookie consent banners on your app with ease, and kind of like customize it to do all of the stuff that, you know, just kind of make it match your branding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a template just so that I can move faster, since this already has a lot of the things that I'm going to be using, like payment services, authentication, and so on. But at least for now, we're going to focus only on the main features, just having it generate the content from the YouTube URL, and then we'll continue adding more things like authentication and actually charging for this, right? So to begin with, let's go ahead and just draft a plan of what we're gonna do. So plan to create a YouTube URL. The first thing that we need to do is just try to actually set up a way for people to provide a YouTube URL and get started with it. So that's our first item on the list. Then we're going to need a way to retrieve the transcript from the URL link. So we're going to retrieve the transcript from a YouTube URL. Then we need to use the transcript to generate the actual written content. So in here we're going to use the transcript to create all of the different types of written content that we want. To create the written content, so use transcript to create the written content. And then I guess before that, we're going to create the prompt that will allow us to create the content. So my idea is to allow the user to provide a YouTube URL. Then from there, we're going to retrieve the transcript. We're going to use that transcript and pass it into the OpenAI APIs. Think of ChatGPT, GPT-4, GPT 3.5. It doesn't really matter right now. We're going to pass it to an LLM and then have the LLM repurpose that content for us into written content. Now, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this, but this does have some downsides, mainly because since we're going to be using only the transcript, anything that's explained in the video solely through visuals, then our model or our AI will not know that, because it's not really looking at the video. It's going to be looking at the transcript. But this is a good starting point. Eventually we can go ahead and expand on it to actually provide the video. I do know that some other models like Gemini and whatnot, they do allow you to provide the video, but just to start simple, we're going to fetch the transcript and then repurpose it for us, all in a very easy way. And then once we have the transcript and the content generated, then we're going to display it. Right, we need a way to display this content. So display the generated content. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the first step. So as I mentioned, I'm gonna use the Cookies template. it already has a lot of things that we need, so I'm just going to try and repurpose it and not focus too much on changing the copy for now. We're going to leave it as is at the moment, so we're just going to create a new route that I'm going to use to have the actual content in. So yeah, let's jump in. So as I mentioned, I'm going to have a transcript or a, what do we call it? Let's call it generation. So, or generator. Let's call it generator. So I'm going to create a new route here. If you're not familiar with Next.js, this is what we're using right now. So we're going to be using Next.js for building our app. Next.js is just a framework that uses React, and it lets you build your front end and your back end all together. So I'm going to go ahead and use Next.js for this. And if you're not familiar with Next.js, I'll try to link later in the video some information about it. But basically, we can go here and check in. So Next.js, and here you go. It's the React framework for the web. And if you want to get a bit more familiar, you can look at it on Google. Or I'll try to kind of guide you through the things that I'm doing as well, so that you also understand what's going on. So in here, I'm using Next.js, and I'm going to be using the app router. That's the newest way to create apps in Next.js. So as I mentioned, I already have a project set up, and we're just going to leverage that to build our app. So what I've done here is that I created a new route. That's like what you're gonna see here. For example, if I try to go here and see TOS, is the terms of service. So basically, I'm gonna have a next route that will show us what we need to have in here. So let's do that. So there we go. Now we have the generator. In order for us to show the actual route, we need to have at least one thing. That's going to be what it's called the page.tsx. In this case, we're using TypeScript. I like TypeScript more just because I come from a background of using object-oriented programming and typed languages. So things like JavaScript, C#, and whatnot. And I really like knowing specifically what type a variable is at all times. It really pisses me off, and I know this might be a very unpopular opinion, but I really dislike things like JavaScript and Python where you don't know what a variable is. Like, I want to be able to look at the code and know that, oh yeah, this is a string. But when they have type any, it's very, very hard to just identify what it is. This has its pros and cons. Like, if you're able to just do any, you don't need to do any like polymorphism or abstraction. You know, there are a lot of things that you don't need to do, but we're going to just use TypeScript for now. So let's go ahead and do that. So in our generator, let's go ahead and create our page.tsx. And just to take a look at what we did here. So we're just exporting a default function that's going to serve as our page. And then we have some information here. So let's go ahead and do that. And luckily, I'm going to be leveraging GitHub Copilot. GitHub Copilot, it's an AI that lives in the IDE, in this case Visual Studio Code. That's what I'm using, and it helps you code faster. Like, you can even do things, you can even code by just typing in comments into the code editor. So let's go ahead and do that. Export default generator. See, yes, it already does that for us. And in here, let's do return, and we're going to return for now. Let's see what it comes up with, and if it does. So let's have a header, the main content, which will have a text input field, text input for the user to enter. It's not a recipe, I don't know, to enter the YouTube URL, and a button to actually generate what we need to generate. So there we go, and let's see what it does here. And then a footer, yeah, sure, that's fine. So let's see here. Okay, And for now, let's see what it generated. I'm not sure what it generated, but let's just see what it does. Okay, cool. So it generated some code here for us. As it has the main section. I see that we have a div that's holding some sort of SVG. I guess the back button, yeah. It just has the back button here. Then a title that says generate transcript, and the URL, yep, just something that allows us to actually import the URL there. Okay, cool. So this is already good, and the way that we can see it is here. If we go to generator, boom, perfect. So we already have a way to actually input the transcript. Doesn't work yet, of course, it won't work yet, but it's a good start. The only thing that I will do is just change this pre by a div. Really don't like how the pre looks because it kind of like changes the text. But this is a good starting point. So there we go. We have a generate transcript, and we have the URL for the YouTube video that we want to generate. And here we're going to put the URL, and then we have a get transcript. At the moment, this doesn't do anything, as we said, but it allows us at least to input something. YouTube.com. Cool. So let's see where we are. A way to provide the YouTube URL. So let's actually have this do something. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the page very clean. So I kind of want to match something like this. If we look into the main page of our app, you see that it just has header, hero, whatever, this and footer. So I want to do the same to this one, just so that it's easier for us to kind of like keep track of what section we're working on, and also helps us with organizing everything. So I'm going to go here to the components. I'm going to create something here, generator, and in here let's create the header, TSX. Let's create the YouTube link. That's not how you spell YouTube. YouTube link form, and footer. Those are the main three things that we're going to work on. For now, I'm going to focus only on the actual form that we need to use. So let's do this, export function, and let's see if this auto-completes for us. It does not, so, oh, there you go. Form link. Okay, it has a lot of things for us right there. And then from here, I'm going to just minimize this that I don't need. Minimize done. Let's take a look at what it says. So in here we have pretty much everything that we need. So actually we can get rid of everything, but I don't want to do that. I want to keep the main. So what I'm gonna do is here, keep only from here down. So I'm only going to keep this. I'm going to remove all of this from here. And it's complaining, of course, because we need to actually put it in a fragment. There we go. And then now that I have that, I can actually replace all of this all the way to down here with my YouTube link form. Okay, let's check that out. It looks exactly the same. What we did was just move it to a different file. Okay, cool. Now that we have that, let's remove the comments because we don't need them. So we have a main section that it's gonna have our YouTube link form, and it has some padding and whatnot. And if we inspect it, let's see how it'll look on mobile. So if we do this, this is how it's gonna look on an iPhone SE. Okay, cool. I think that's good enough for now. So now that we have this, we need a way to actually capture our YouTube link here. So first thing that I'm gonna do here is what's it called, placeholder, YouTube.watch, whatever. We just added a placeholder so that people can see more or less what they need to actually input here. Okay, so that's a good start. And as I mentioned, we need a way to actually capture this. So let's do here a way to keep track of the YouTube URL using the useState hook. If you're not familiar with React, useState just kind of helps you keep track of what you're doing. So it'll help us keep state of our app and hence just actually keep track of that URL and use it later. So perfect. Let's go ahead and do that. Not sure what's putting it as a comment, but sure. And it's complaining because we don't have it imported. So let's go ahead and import it from here. And one thing that I know I will need to do is just put use client. The reason that I need to add the use client is because Next.js has what it's called server-side rendering. So what it tries to do is that instead of loading your whole app right away, it only tries to render the specific things that you need to have for the app. So since it has server-side rendering, if we need to use useState, which keeps state locally or within the client side, within the person using the actual app, then we need to specify that this section is going to be used in the client. Cool, and if we refresh, then we shouldn't have any issues still. Great, we're still working fine. Let's close that because we don't need it. Amazing. So now we have the URL and set URL. This right here, this URL variable is going to help us get it and use it to do something. And then we're going to have some sort of function that will handle the submitting the code. Okay, cool, and this is complaining because of something, so whatever, that works for now. Well, we can fix it as we go. Okay, cool, and you see how easy it is to code with this type of things? This AI tools, amazing. It's amazing. Okay, great. So let's plug that in here. So what we're gonna do is the value is gonna be the URL, and when it changes, we're going to set the URL. So basically we have two things. This is how we get the value, and this is how we set the value. So every time we call this, that puts whatever we are passing in into the URL, and then vice versa. Okay, cool. And then for our button, we need to do here the on click. It's going to handle the submit. Great, so basically right now we have a form that allows us to input the YouTube URL, and then when we hit this, we're going to call this function. Currently the only thing that it's going to do is just print that to the console. So let's go ahead and open, I do not want to see the page source. Let's go ahead and do here and see the console, and let's refresh this just so that it's good. Great, so what I'm expecting is that when I type in the URL and then hit the get transcript, generate transcript, I'll change that to generate written content or generate content. And then we'll have some sort of like ways to generate the content. Cool. So let's see, in this case, I'm just going to have youtube.com, and as I hit generate transcript, boom, we see here the youtube.com that's being printed. And every time I press this, we just get an extra one. So there we go. We have a way to provide a YouTube URL. We could do other things like having some sort of validation to make sure that the YouTube URL is in a specific form and whatnot. I do recommend you do this for any production app, since you want to make sure that people input the right form of the URL. But for the purposes of this video, we are not going to do that. Okay, cool. So now that we have this, we can check it off the list, and then we can work on having a way to actually use it, All right, we need to get the transcript. So our next thing is to retrieve the transcript from the YouTube URL. So let's go ahead and look up get transcript from YouTube. And let's just do npm. Let's see, there we go. Boom. We have here this package. It's called YouTube transcript. Luckily, so we already have half of the thing there. And in this, as I wanted to transcript, but there was only a Python script, so I created this to do it in Node. So it was updated 3 days ago. That's fair. And the package uses unofficial YTB API, so it can be broken over time if no update appears. I don't think I like that, but that's okay for now. So what do we do to install it? We do npm im. If you're using Yarn, you would probably do this. In my case, I'm using npm. And the way that you can tell is by what you have. If you have something like package.lock.json, then you're using npm, most likely. If you have yarn.lock, then you're using Yarn. So, okay, I'm gonna stop running this app. And very important things to do, always do, have your code committed. Always save your changes. So now that we have a way to generate the transcript, and actually we're going to rename this. As I said, I don't like generate transcripts because we are not generating transcripts. So we're generating written content, generate written content, and just generate. Cool. And now let's install the package. So as I said, first let's create a new branch, get checkout the feature YouTube form. YouTube form, YouTube link form. Right, so here we're going to, let's just check our changes. This is what I like about this, because I can see like what changes I've made, and I really enjoy that. So let's do git add all, get commit, and created the YouTube link form to allow users to set the URL that they want the content for. And I'm gonna push that. Great, and we have it to YouTube Magic, the Git. That's a GitHub repository that I created earlier. And here you go. And what I'm going to do is actually also push the main branch. I don't have the main branch. So let me just for a second here check out the main branch, git push. Just push the main branch so that we have a main branch there that we're gonna use. Let's refresh this. Boom, we have the main branch. And I'm actually gonna set it as the default. Which I should have done before. Can I change this? Okay. Change default branch. Yep. So I guess I can go to the settings, branches. Maybe I should read settings, then under default branch. Is there a default branch thing here already? General, oh, default branch, there we go. So let's go ahead and change this to main. When you let me. Oh, let's just switch it. There we go. Update. I understand that this is the default branch. Cool. Okay, great. So now we have our default branch, and I'm going to merge this. Let's just review the changes. We created the form, and these two files for now are just empty because I will get to it later. Okay, cool. I'm good with that. Let's create this pull request and merge it. And we'll be doing this with every step that we have, just to keep it organized. Okay, now I can pull the changes. And there you go. I have my form and everything that I need. Great, 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 great. Okay. Now what? Now we need a way to retrieve the transcript. Okay, that's what we're gonna go for next. So we found this package right here. Where is it that it was? Get transcript from YouTube. Oh, I have it right there. Never mind. Haha. Okay, great. So let's do that. And before we do that, let's create another branch. Retrieve transcript. Okay, now we have a new branch. We're going to retrieve the transcript. We're just installing the package right now. Hope this will not take forever to install. Boom, there we go. So you'll see that we added one package, the YouTube transcript. Great. Now what I'm going to do is in my source. Okay, so here as part of my lib folder, let's go ahead and create a YouTube folder. Then let's just take a look, and here we just have like services and stuff. So in here, let's have a YouTube service.js. Great. The service will we're responsible for from the YouTube transcript package, and return the transcript. Okay, so let's import, I believe it's YouTube transcript, uppercase, and then we have a YouTube service. What is it complaining about? It does not exist. Did you mean fetch transcript? Yes, I did mean fetch transcript. And we are not gonna pass the YouTube video ID because that's just more work for us. So what we're gonna go ahead and pass is the video URL. Video URL. So basically here we have a YouTube service that has one function. This function is just going to call the YouTube transcript API right here and fetch the transcript based on the YouTube video URL. And I think I can use the video URL. So let's see here. Yeah, so fetch transcript has video ID or URL. So we can pass either or for now. Hopefully that works like that. So let's go ahead and do that. And yeah, the only thing that I will do is just wrap this into a try catch. See, I'm not 100% sure what this does. So worst case scenario, if this fails, I'm hoping that this function right here will handle things like the formatting and whatnot. Like if I passing just a bogus URL that has nothing to do with YouTube, that it'll fail and it'll give me an error, and then I can just check that. Cool. Perfect. Now that we have that, let's rerun my app, npm run dev. Just wait for that to load. Okay, cool. So as we had seen before, if I type in any YouTube URL, what we do is that we print it over here. So now instead of doing that, we are going to print the actual transcript for now. So, right, we're retrieving the transcript from the URL. URL link, URL. All right, so to do that, I'm going to import my YouTube service. That's what we created before. And what I'm gonna do here is create a new YouTube service, get the transcript URL. So we're going to do this, and then once we get it, then we print it. And if we have an error, then we're gonna print that error. So we're probably gonna be printing it twice now. Oh well, actually we're never gonna fail because we have a try catch. So in here, I think this is fine for now because this should never fail. Since we have a try catch, what it's gonna do is just gonna return null if we don't have anything. So let's just read up here and see if anything needs to be done. No, that seems like it's it. So let's refresh this just in case and go to YouTube and just get a video. Let's get this video for this one right here, the new Model 3 or something. The Model 3 performance in 2.9 seconds. That's pretty fast. So I'm going to get that URL right there. I'm gonna paste it here, and what I'm expecting is that as soon as I press generate, I will see the transcript here. Boom, it failed. Why did it fail? Access to fetch at this has course policy, yada yada. So we're getting some course issue. Let's go ahead and check here what people are doing. So let's do course. Let's look up for course. Nope. Nothing with course, which is odd. So let's read some over here. Where are we failing? So we can't do this because we have this. Can I specify the transcript config? No, that's just to get in a specific thing. What does this do? Okay, it fetches some stuff from it. Transcript error. Waiter fetch. Interesting. So let's do something. Let's ask GitHub Copilot. I am trying to fetch the transcript from a URL, from a YouTube URL. I am getting an error. How do I fix it? This is the error I'm getting. Ooh, can I do? I can do 3 dots at once. Nice. So let's just copy this and paste my error right here. So yeah, this is due to this, this, and this. A common workaround for this issue is to course anywhere in your code, extend the proxy URL plus this and this. Interesting. So we might want to do this. I'm going to do this server side instead of from here. So can I do that? Can I instead leverage my APIs here? So let's rename this to YouTube. Let's just see what I have here. So here, okay, so here we can do this. And we use our service. So for this is another app where we're doing some similar stuff. So I think I'm gonna do something like this. So let's go ahead and create route.ts. I think I should have done that instead of trying to like actually access it through the client. But let's do something like this. But here, instead of this, we're going to have a YouTube service. Which is going to be a YouTube service. And what we're going to do here is, so YouTube service again, transcript, params that URL. Okay, params that URL. And that's about it. So I have the transcript, and that's it. I think we can just return that. Let's just stringify this. Okay, cool. And now, let me just refresh this to make sure that we're not doing anything wrong there. YouTube that gets transcript. We're passing in the URL and the params, and then we're doing this. Okay, and how are we calling settings here? Okay, so what we're doing is we're calling API settings. Here we're going to do. So this is allowing like course for anything that does stuff. I don't know. So what I'm gonna do is just set this so that any path on the API works. Okay. Cool. I'm a bit sus about this, but let's try. So fetch API YouTube method post, pass this in. Okay, good. So now what I'm doing is, instead of trying to call the service right away, what I'm doing is so let's go ahead and get rid of this YouTube service from here. So what I'm doing instead now is just calling one of my APIs within Next.js and just trying to generate that from here. URL. Okay, this is going to be the transcript if we actually get data. So if we actually get data, I hope that I did this right. If we actually get data, then what we're going to do is we're going to stringify it. And then here we should have that. We just have the response.json. Let's try that. Boom, there we go. So we seem to have a transcript. Hey, we have a transcript. Which has a lot of more things that I really want. It actually has like timestamps for every single spot, which is good. That might help us, but I don't want any of that right now. So so let's see, what do we want to do? What we can do is just, instead of having all this crap, which helps, I'm not saying it doesn't, but instead of having all this crap, I just want to keep the transcript itself. So let's go ahead and fix that. So what we're gonna do here is that let's ask here. So our transcript returns a lot of good information, but we don't need all that. We only want to get the text. We only want to get the text. Help me concatenate. I don't know how do you spell concatenating the text from the list of objects that are returned. And let's check this out. So it returns, the transcript is a list of different sections, which might come handy later. If we want to like do specific things, like only do this from this time to this time. But for now, we can just have this. Okay, so each list has this structure. Which item on the list has the following structure. Duration. Language. The offset. And text. Okay, so let's see what it comes up. So I can use the map function to extract the text, and then use a join function to concatenate all the text into a single string. So there we go, we can map and then join them like this. Cool. Well, let's see if that works better. Transcript. And then we're gonna turn this. Cool. Let's try that. Let's copy my URL again. Let's refresh, paste, regenerate this. Booyah! Now we have the whole transcript. All right, so I reviewed the new Tesla Model 3, refresh, facelift, Highland, whatever people were calling it not that long ago, and yada yada. Boom. There we go. So we have our full transcript as text. Great. Thank you, GitHub Copilot. Cool. So we have a way to retrieve the URL or the transcript from the URL. We're getting somewhere. Yeah, we have the transcript here. So now I think before I move on, I want to add just a way to select what you want to have. What do I mean by that? So since we're going to allow multiple types of content to be written, we're going to add blog post, summary, key takeaways, and summary, key takeaways, and a Twitter thread. So how about we start by creating a posting first? Not a posting, what's it called? A blog post. So how about we start by creating a blog post? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set a couple of options here to do like a selection. So I've been using Daisy UI to have the different things. So I can use tabs. Tabs might look good, and it'll show me like what it is. And then what we can do is just set the active tab based on what the person selects. Yeah. I think tabs makes sense. Yeah, we will use tabs. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to go to my form. And below here, we're going to have a tab list. So let's take a look. Boom, so we have our tab list. Let's go ahead and just put a div here. Last name, and we're gonna have a PY of 5. We're just adding some padding at the top and padding at the bottom. And actually, we're gonna have MY, just to add margin and not padding. And how do we change? Okay, so we're gonna have, let's say here, blog post, Twitter, X, thread, and key takeaways. Summary, let's create a summary. Let's just start with those. Okay, so we have that, and that. And we need a way to select them. So let's do that. Let's have here const the type, a type of content, and then on each on click, so on click we're gonna set the type to that. Here on click we're gonna set the type to Twitter X thread, and then here we're gonna set the type to summary. And what we need to do is, for us to determine, we need to have set what the active tab is. So we're going to do this so that if the type is Twitter X, then we're doing tab active. And it was tab active. Okay, tab active. So if the type is Twitter X thread, then we set it as tab active. Currently none of them should be active, right? Yeah, because we were, oh, there, boom. So you see, if I select that one gets selected, but if I select the other ones, it doesn't do anything. And then let's do the same for this one right here. Probably want to shoot it to its own. Great. And then if the type is blog post, then we set the tab active. And let's do the same for this one here. Boom. Let's take this down right here. Take this down over here is. Boom. Okay, now if I select through them, I can select which one is enabled. Great, 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 great. So currently we're gonna support the blog post, so that way we can just generate something with it. Later we'll start supporting like a Twitter X thread and a summary. So we already have, if I copy again this, we already have a way to get the transcript. So here we get the transcript, and now we need to have a way to actually generate some content from it. Cool. So where are we? Okay, so we have a way to select what type of content. We're gonna support blog post, and we need to pass that. So how do we generate? Okay, so where are we? Let me stop running this app real quick. And we are retrieving the transcript. We already have a way to retrieve the transcript. So I'm going to save that, my repo, added a way to retrieve the transcript from a URL. Okay, so we added a way to retrieve the transcript from a URL, from a YouTube URL. Okay, let's go ahead and push that. And every single step of this, I'm gonna be creating a separate branch just to make it easier for me to kind of keep track of what it is. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go here. So we push our code. This is gonna go ahead and compare it. So we added the YouTube transcript package. We have a service that calls the package. We're passing in the URL, and then we have this new tab thing that we added. I'll probably split this out into its own component, just to have just for it to be better. And we have our thing right here, and then just our config, so that it lets us do like course calls, or it doesn't complain about cross website communication. Okay, so let's merge that. Don't ever merge your own PRs. Just kidding. I mean, if you're working by yourself, merge your own PRs. But in actual production environments, you would probably not be doing that. You would have someone code review your thing. You should probably add tests, and then from there you actually do what you need to do. Okay, cool. So now that we merged it and we actually deleted the branch, let's check out main. A bunch of my stuff are gonna disappear, and then we can just pull main. Great. Okay, now we're gonna create another branch, and we can check this off. Now we have just create the prompts that will allow us to get the content. And then we use the transcript to generate the written content. So this one kind of has a couple of steps. This one kind of has like a couple of steps for this, because we're gonna need to use the OpenAI APIs, and then actually create the prompts for it. So we'll work on that. Hi, Mom. My mom's in the chat. I'm using React for this. It's mostly React. I'm using a framework that's called Next.js. I think I had it open somewhere here. Maybe I can look it up. Next.js. This is Next.js. It's a framework for React. It has a lot of cool things, and it helps you build fast. But yeah, pretty much React and JavaScript. Well, TypeScript I'm actually using. So TypeScript, React, Next.js. For styling, I'm using Tailwind CSS. And just to expand on Tailwind CSS, I'm using Daisy UI that has a lot of like pre-built things, like for example this little tab thing, which is what I'm using here. It's pretty simple to add, and you just add it right there. Okay, cool. So let's create a new branch. Get checkout the feature. Implement OpenAI APIs. I guess that's as good a name as anything will be. Great. So now what? Let's look up some documentation on OpenAI APIs. OpenAI APIs, NPM. See if they have NPM. Boom. I don't like that it was published 2 years ago. Probably not update. See if they have something better. Boom, there we go. Published a day ago. And I think this is like the legit one. Like by actual OpenAI. Yeah, OpenAI Node. That's how we install it. This is how we use it. Kind of weird, this right here. Then we pass in the key, the model. This seems pretty simple. This is kind of like what we use in Python. I had never really used it in Node. So, but it seems very simple. It's just, you know, like use it here. Why are they using here? You can import in Deno. What the heck is Deno? What is Deno? Deno, the next generation JavaScript runtime. It's an open source runtime for modern web, built for web with zero time script, match security, and maybe we want to use Deno. Maybe that might be better. Just the fact that this is telling me that it's like uncomplicated JavaScript, yada yada, whatever that means. Then maybe this is what I want to be using. There's open source JavaScript runtime for modern built on web standards with zero config TypeScript, match security, and a complete built-in toolchain. You know, it's the easiest, most productive way to JavaScript. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, I might want to use this. So let's go ahead and install this. Let's install OpenAI. Great. And same way that I did with the YouTube service, I'm going to keep this organized. So we're going to create a OpenAI folder in my live, and then I'm going to have an OpenAI service. So this service, what is it going to do? This service is going to allow us to pass in a transcript into it, which we already have, because our YouTube service allows us to create a transcript. So we're going to fetch the transcript. Then we are going to pass the transcript into the OpenAI API. And then from there, I'm going to use that, like I'm going to give it a specific prompt, and we can just kind of follow the documentation here, right, for the prompts that we sent. And we are going to pass in the prompt and tell it to create a specific piece of content. And as I mentioned, right now we're going to generate only a blog post, but it should be fairly simple just to adjust. So maybe depending on the complexity of this step, I might just adjust to all of them for now. But let's start with a blog post. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. So we're going to have an OpenAI service that takes in a YouTube. Now I'm questioning if I want to split it into different things. Like I have a YouTube service, I just fetch as a transcript. Then I might just have a OpenAI service that just generates content based on a prompt. And then I might have a separate service that's like the content creator service that generates the actual content. And the reason that I want to do this is to try and separate the different like steps. And that way, if in the future I want to replace the OpenAI service with Gemini or Llama 3 or whatever I want to change it for, then I can do that. So yeah, I think for this we're just gonna do this that takes in a prompt. There we go. So an OpenAI service that takes in a prompt and returns a completion. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we can't. Let's see if this works. Cannot find the Reno. Yeah, that's because I don't have it. So how about OpenAI? Yeah, we're just gonna implement it like this because this is the full library and yada yada. I don't know. We're gonna need to do this. So I'll probably be creating an environment variable with my key. Everything that you do with OpenAI, you're gonna need a key or API key so that they know who you are and they know who to charge to. So yeah, so we need to do this and we need to do a completion, and there we go. So learn how to read documentation, please. That's the easiest way to do things. You learn to read documentation and it has 90% of all the things that you need. So for now we have that, and I'm gonna be passing my OpenAI key in just a moment. And then let's see. I love when Copilot just completes stuff for me. Let's see if it completes stuff for me here. Boom. So we have OpenAI service that has a complete function. It's going to take in a prompt. I'm going to be using a separate service to pass in that prompt, just so that this service just focuses on giving me the specific thing. And there we go. So in here, we're going to copy this chat completion thing. Just gonna name it completion because that's about it. And what does completion give me? I can probably do streaming. Might not want to do that right now. For those of you who don't know the difference between just waiting for something and doing streaming. So when you wait for something, kind of like you imagine talking to ChatGPT, right? Like you have the ChatGPT window open. You know how you type in a prompt and then it starts like printing, like kind of like writing as it's thinking through the whole thing. That's streaming. It just does, as soon as it's ready to like output something, it just starts outputting it right away. Or we can also just wait for it and it'll give us it'll take a bit longer because it won't just have the thing right away. It won't just start giving me content as soon as it thinks of it, but it'll kind of draft the whole thing first and then it'll give me the result once it has everything. So we could potentially improve it later on, but I think the easiest way might be just to do that. And to begin with that right away. So let's see here. This library includes TypeScript definitions for all request parameters and response fields. You may want to import them like so. OpenAI chat completion. OpenAI chat completions create. So here I'm creating this, and then this completion gives me a chat completion. And what does chat completion have? Oh, okay, so it doesn't have data, it just has choices right away. Choices, the message, that content. And this is complaining why? Because I'm saying that I'm always going to return a string, but I can actually return either a string or no. So what I'm going to do is just put here string or no. Or yeah. Since I can return no as well, that way I know, like, oh, if I didn't give it anything, then, or if I get a no back, then something went wrong, or you know, and I can just kind of check for it. But I'm also gonna go ahead and wrap this in a try catch, just in case, because I have no idea what could fail, and I don't want my app just failing, so I can just wrap it in a try catch. And if there's any errors here, I'm going to print those errors to the console, and then I'm going to return null anyways. Okay, and one thing that I will do is to have a little bit more control over what this is doing. I'm going to have two things that I'm going to pass in. I'm going to pass in the prompt. The prompt is going to be something like, you know, generate a blog post given the transcript and what you need there. So I'm gonna pass in the prompt, but I'm also going to pass in a system prompt. So let's take a look here and see if they have any examples of what that is. Do they have an example of system? Let me look for system. No, they don't have any example for system, but we can go ahead and system message OpenAI. So here you can kind of see like what it is. This is probably the worst thing we could have. Boom, there we go. So in the way that we send in the prompt, we have two things that we can send. We can send system roles, system messages, and basically this just tells the AI that it's not a prompt coming directly from the user, but it's a prompt that it should just know, right? It's kind of like how it should act, behave, and whatnot. So for example, in this example, it tells you you are a helpful assistant, not a very helpful prompt, but you're a helpful assistant. And then that's a system prompt. And then underneath we have the user prompt, which is like who won the series in the World Series in 2020. Just turning this heater, it's starting to get a bit cold. So what I'm thinking is to, as the system prompt, I'm gonna tell it like, you are a great assistant that turns transcripts from a YouTube video into the specified content that the user chose. So kind of that, so that it has context on what it needs to do and it knows exactly like, okay, what is it that I'm trying to do here? And then in the user role message, then I'll pass the actual prompt like, this is the type of content that I want to generate and this is the transcript that you should use. Cool, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this as user prompt, and before that I'm gonna have a system prompt, which is also gonna be a string. Great, so what we're gonna do is just duplicate this right here. So 1 and 2. And then here's gonna be system. I'm gonna pass in the, what prompt is a system prompt, that's what I called it. And then for the user, I'm gonna pass in the user prompt. Great, so if everything goes right, I'm gonna be using this service to pass in the prompt, and in the system prompt, it'll, as I mentioned, it'll just be like, you know, what it's supposed to be doing. And then the user prompt is actually gonna have the type of content that it wants and the actual transcript. So, okay, so let's go ahead and run this just to see where we're at right now. And we're gonna close a bunch of these tabs because we really don't need them right now. Okay. So currently we have, if I click on this link, I paste it right here. Keep in mind that this is not working. So as of right now, if I hit generate, what we're doing is just getting the transcript from the video. And this should work for pretty much any video. So if I try to go to another video, like, definitely not OpenAI. If I try to do this, I don't, no idea what happened. So as you can see here, this one was like, all right, so I received the new Tesla Model 3, whatever. That was the MKBHD video. And if I pass this one, I get the other thing, like, war never changes that until this other video. So, cool. It should handle like I hope that it handles every link. So if, for example, I don't copy it from the top, but instead I hit share, you see that this is like a different type of link. Let's see what happens if I pass this one in. Oh, great. Amazing. It already handles everything that I need. Boom, boom, boom. I don't even need to check it out. What if I pass in something else? I'm doing like here, like testing in production. What if I pass in google.com? Oh, no. Great. Great. So what we can check is that if they passing something and it just returns no, it's like, hey, error, I don't know what you're talking about. So, great. Cool, so we have our OpenAI service, and I will set that key in just a moment. But for the time being, we're going to create a content generation folder. And in here, I'm going to have a content generation service. So again, the service will use both things. So it will use the YouTube service to fetch the transcript. Once it has the transcript, then it'll use the OpenAI service to actually generate the content from it. Great. So the content generation service uses the YouTube service and the OpenAI service to generate written content based, I hate that I'm going way too far to the side. So The content generation service uses the YouTube service and the OpenAI service to generate written content based on a YouTube link, YouTube URL, and the type of content that we want to generate. So the generate content takes a YouTube URL and a type of content to generate. Then it fetches a transcript of the video using the YouTube service and generates the content based on the transcript. The types of content allowed are, and we can copy them from our YouTube link form. So we have blog post. So we have blog post. We have Twitter X thread. And what was the last one that I had? Summary. A summary. So just in case if we want to like generate a summary of the video and I don't want to watch the whole video. There you go. So let's just do this. Boom. It knows that it needs to import that. It knows that it needs to import that. This is what I love about this. There you go. Boom. So content generation service. It has the OpenAI service, the YouTube service. It sets it, and then it has the generate content, and yada yada. So here it's only complaining because, again, we can read this here. If I was using JavaScript instead of TypeScript, I didn't have to worry about this, but I guess I just like shooting myself in the foot. No, just kidding. I really like that it does this because it lets me know, right, like, hey, be careful, because a lot of times you might get no. As we saw, if we're passing something that's not a YouTube URL, then we get no. If we're passing, or maybe has some issues, there's connectivity issues or whatever, if there's any errors, then it's going to return no. So I have to figure out a way to do this. Okay, let's see what it says here. So generate a blog post based on the following transcript. I'm not sure I want to do this as a system prompt, only because system prompt is more like instructions for like how the AI should behave, rather than specific like instructions. So for example, here, let's see. You are a helpful assistant designed to output JSON. So you see, do we want to do this? Yeah, I think I'll tell it something like, you're a helpful assistant designed to output whatever. And actually, why not just use ChatGPT to do this for us? Like, it knows itself. So what would be a good system prompt to use in the OpenAI APIs for a chat completion that generates content from generates written content from a YouTube URL, from a YouTube transcript, YouTube video transcript. I will be passing the actually, let's have it. It will be a good system and user prompt. Let's have it generate both. So what would be a good system and user prompt to use in the OpenAI APIs for a chat completion that generates written content from a YouTube video transcript? Let's see what it does with that. Okay, creating a system. Tell me what it is. So you see, this is kind of what I was talking about with the streaming, that it would just like start writing as it goes. But I'm not gonna do that right now. Okay, so you will be provided with a YouTube video. See, like, it knows itself. It knows itself. Why would I even not do this? Okay, so you will be provided with a transcript from a YouTube video. Your task is to use the provided transcript to create a compelling and informative blog post to ensure that the blog post is well structured, includes key points for the video, from the video, and it's engaging for the readers, maintaining a friendly and informative tone throughout. And this is the transcript. Okay, and it kind of tells me here, it doesn't know which model I'm using. I'm assuming this is for Text DaVinci 2. I'm gonna be using, which one am I gonna be using? I'm going to be using GPT 3.5 Turbo. I might even change it to GPT 4 just because it's better. It's just more expensive. So maybe I can have like two options. Like if you want something that's okay, then pay this much. If you want something that's better, then pay this much more. Just because it's gonna cost me a whole lot of money, and I definitely do not want to go broke with this. But let's tell it that as part of the function, we will pass in a different type of content to generate. It can be a blog post, Twitter, X, thread, or a summary. Adjust the prompts to handle this. Right, to accommodate for different types, yada yada. Great. So you will be provided with a transcript from a YouTube video based on the whatever, based on the content type specified. And then here I pass in the content type. Your task is to create blog posts. There you go. And this is the content type and the specified instructions. Depending on the content type, insert specific instructions. I focus in on so this is the template that we will be using. Depending on the content type, insert specific instructions here, like focusing on the technology for a blog post, creating engaging snippets, and whatever. Okay, and then here it's telling us, okay, so this is the prompt. So please adjust according to the transcript for optimized engagement and clarity. Okay, I like this. So let's use this then. Okay, so I don't think I need to have a different system prompt for each of them. I can just use, you will receive a transcript from a YouTube video based on the type of content specified. Your task is to create blog posts, the detailed engaging blog post using the key to them. And what I don't really know is if it has like any specific instructions. What is it saying here? Please, okay. We can just start with this. Okay. Let's just do this. And it is complaining because I have multi-lines. How do we even do we do like this? If I do this. Okay. Great, so we have our system prompt. So here it says, ensure that the output is appropriate for the format, engaging, and provides value to the readers or viewers. Use a tone that is suitable for the content type, informative and friendly for blog posts, concise and catchy for Twitter, and clear and direct for summaries. Great, so now that we have that, we can get rid of this system prompt for each of them. And then just leave the user prompt. And then for the user prompt, we have this is the user prompt. Then here, what do we want to do? Please adjust according to the content type for engagement and clarity. Okay, so let's do this. This is Python, so I can definitely not do this. What I'm gonna do is this right here. tell for each of them. So, okay, so this is a string, and what are you doing? So let's do this. Let's get rid of the random things here. Okay, right now I'm just gonna have a little bit of repetition. I'm 100% sure I can do this better. Actually, I can do this better. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of repeating this crap 27 times, let's have it right here, and then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna have the transcript. Great. We're passing the type. And I don't really even need to do any of this because we're already passing the type, and I'm telling it over here that based on the type, you do what you need to do. So I don't really need to split this at all. Let me clear this. So there we go. We have our content generation service, which is going to use our OpenAI service and our YouTube service. And OpenAI service.complete, this is going to already give us a string or null, or error out, and we are passing the system prompt. It already has information on the different types that we need, and this actually makes it a whole lot easier because if I need to add a separate type, I can do so. So what I'm gonna do here, this is a good thing about this, that it's like, okay, so we can't just pass in any string because I don't want to like mess up and allow it to do something weird. We're specifying that these are the only 3 types that you can pass in, and then we're setting it up with the transcript, and we're setting it up with the type. And there we go. Okay, cool. So the next thing that I want to do is, now that I have this, as I saw just a little bit ago, if I try to just call this service right away, the app complains. Why? Because I'd be trying to make the call from the client side, and if I make the call from the client side, it gives me like coarse issues. That's like cross origin, whatever, because it says like, hey, you're trying to reach this website that's not in your domain. So instead of doing that, what I'm gonna do is have an API in my Next.js app that will have what I need to do. So let's do that. Let's create an API. And the way that we do that is by going into this right here, into this API thing, and we're gonna call it generation. And then in here we need to create a route.ts. And I'm gonna copy something similar to this, right? So, but instead of fetching my or using my YouTube service, we want to use the import the generation service. What is it called? What is it that I called it? Generation, content generation service. There we go. So we're gonna use the content generation service. We're gonna send in a post request, and what I'm gonna do is pass in the URL and the type. So let's go ahead and do here let URL params the URL, let type params a type, and instead of using the YouTube service, we're going to use the delete this so that you don't want to use that. So here is the content, and then here we're going to have content generation service, content, away that content. And why is it complaining? Oh, because it takes 2 things. So let's go ahead and do that. So we need to pass in the YouTube service and also import the OpenAI service. There you go. We need to pass in here. Which one goes first? OpenAI service, and then YouTube service. Okay, so we're gonna pass in, let's instantiate them here. YouTube service, nope, const OpenAI service, and then we pass them in here. OpenAI service and YouTube service. And then here it's complaining because it should be type, not twip. And then this is going to give me some content. Then I'm going to put it into over here and just send it back to the UI. Okay, so this should do like halfway through the work. The only thing that I'm going to put here is if not transcript, just return null right away. Don't passing null to this. So if we don't have a transcript because for some reason the video URL that we're passing just doesn't work or whatever, then we don't want that to fail. And yeah, I think this is good for now, but it will fail. Why? Because I haven't put in my what is it called? My key, my API key. So I'm gonna do that in a separate tab so that I'm not exposing the key. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to OpenAI. So basically what I'm doing is I'll go to OpenAI's whatever platform, that OpenAI, that whatever, and in here I'm going to generate an API key. So let's go ahead and get an API key. Recommend using project-based API keys. Okay, so let's create this API key and in the default project. So this is going to be YouTube to written. And again, I'm just doing this on a separate screen just because I don't want to expose my API keys. And you should not expose your API keys. Okay, and YouTube to written. Let's create that API key, and then I'm gonna go ahead and set it in an environment variable. Let's see where we do that. I'm gonna set it as that environment local. So basically what I'm doing here, I created that environment, that local file, and then in here we can set open, what is it that we call that in the OpenAI service? OpenAI API key. And then here I'm gonna put my key, whatever, ABCDF or whatever. This is not my key, but basically you get the idea. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me set my key. Okay, great. That's not the one that I wanted to. So now I have to eliminate this key. What I just said, I did. What I just said, I did. Now I have to eliminate my key. So let's create another key. The things of trying to do a live stream. YouTube to written. Okay, let's do that again. Okay. Luckily I deleted my key so that I didn't have to have it there. Let's try this again. Okay, boom. Now we should be good. Great. Okay, now we have a key set up that we're gonna be using. Don't expose your API keys. Don't be me. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Okay, so I want to say that this already works. Only one way to find out, right? Only one way to find out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and console log the transcript, and then console log the response. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do here is const response. Yeah, const completion. Can't just do complete, so I gotta do this. Completion, and then I'm gonna return the completion. And I'm gonna console log it just so that we can see what it's actually doing, and the different steps. And if there's any error, then we're gonna have an error there as well. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to my generator components. This is the form. So before we have YouTube, now we're going to have what did I call my API? Generation. So the generation, and in my route we're calling the generate content, and we need to pass in the URL and the type. So in here, the body is going to be URL and type. So I already have a way to select the type, so we're going to pass in URL and type to the generation, and then this is going to give us generated content. This is going to give us a generated content right there. So let's see what this does. Let's see what this does. Okay, so we can switch through the different types that we want. Let's go ahead and start with a blog post. Let's do with the MKBHD video. And again, as of right now, I'm not really displaying it over here. I'm gonna be printing it to the console, but then we'll work to adding it to the actual place. So let's see, generate. Let's see if anything fails. Might take a bit because we gotta do a couple things. We gotta do first call the transcript, so that'll get the transcript. Then it'll fetch the OpenAI thing, and there you go. It works. It works. Generated content. So in my review of the new Tesla Model 3 performance, I discovered some exciting updates and enhancements that set this car apart from its predecessors. The Model 3 performance is not just a faster version of the regular model, it has been meticulously refined to offer a more complete driving experience. There we go. We pass in a URL and we can get a blog post. Let's see if we can get a summary. Let's see if we can get a summary now. Let's try and make that call again. Let me refresh. Remove everything here. And again, I'm not putting it here. Boom, summary. The Tesla Model 3 performance has received a refresh with several key upgrades that set it apart from the regular Model 3 with the power output of approximately 510 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, and a top speed of 163 miles per hour. This performance version offers impressive numbers. I don't have to watch a video anymore. Like, I don't have to watch a video anymore. I don't have to watch a YouTube video. Just kidding, I will still watch YouTube videos, but you can probably, once this is out, you can put this video into this generation service and you don't have to watch the video. You can just get whatever. Point is, now we can generate summaries, Twitter threads, and blog posts. Okay, so we tested the blog post, we tested the summary. Let's test the Twitter X thread. So if I select the Twitter X thread and I generate, again, I will add a loading screen or something while this loads and while it does what it needs to do. But here we go. So it generates a thread. Exciting news for Tesla fans. Just got a sneak peek at the new Model 3 performance refresh, and I'm here to spill out the details. Stay tuned for some thrilling updates. It even puts the 2 out of 7. It knows there's 7. It actually knows there's 7. The majority of the times that I tried doing this, it wouldn't really do that. Or it would say like 2 out of 7 and then do 9. I guess it's getting better. And also one thing to note is that I'm using GPT 3.5 for right now. I'm just testing. I might want to do GPT 4 because it's smarter, follows better directions, it's smarter, and I feel that it writes like content better. So there we go. There we go. So we have a way, so we created the prompts that allow us to get the content, and we use the transcript to generate the written content. Boom. What I will do is to have some sort of loading screen or loading mechanism here, because as you saw, if for example I want to generate a like this if I'm a user and I'm using this and I click generate, I don't know what's happening, right? Like I need to know that it's like loading or generating content or doing something. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll put a loading thing here. Maybe disable the button so that they don't like press it 10 million times, and put a loading logo here, a loading thing. So let's do that. What are we gonna do first? We are going to have something like a new part of the state that says loading. Loading and set loading. This is if it's generating the content. Let's actually name it generating, just so that it's more generating. So if it's generating, we're gonna show that, and we're gonna hide the button, and then we're gonna have something else here for the generated content that we're going to display later. Maybe for now I'll skip this, since that's our next step, and that should be its own branch and everything. So generating content and set generating, and what we're going to do is, as soon as we click the button, I'm going to set generating equals to true, and once we get a response right here, once we get a response, because that's what we're doing, right? Like generated content, yeah. Once we get a response, then I'm gonna set the generating to false. And then let me look up here how we did loading. I know I have like somewhere where I did a little loading item, loading icon, loading class name, loading dots. There we go, boom. So this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. And what I wanna do is below the this right here. Yeah, maybe for now I'll just disable the button and then put a loading thing for it. So let's do that. So first thing that I'm gonna do is disabled if. So let me just bring this down to the next one. So what I'm gonna do is disabled if it's generating. So what is that gonna do if I click, for example, here? Oh, I need to handle other things, like actually making sure that we have a video, the URL there. But let's say when you see when I generate, now it disables the button so that I can just click continuously when that's doing, which this is good enough. And then not only am I gonna do that, but then if it's generating, then I'm going to have those loading dots. Where the heck was my loading dots? There we go. So generate, and if it's generating, we're gonna have a loading dot. So let's do a summary. Oh, yeah, so it gives me null because I didn't really give it a URL. So let's give it a URL. So generate, it has the little whatever loading dot there that it does, and then it gives me the summary of what it is. And I think that's good enough for now. Yeah, I think this covers our step of use the transcript to generate the written content. Okay. Great. So let's make sure that I'm not committing my... Nope. Okay, I'm not committing my API key. Make sure if you're using API keys to set it as an environment variable and to also add it to your git ignore. If you create a hit ignore. If you create a Next.js app with the Next.js, whatever, npx, create Next.js, whatever, it should already have this, but just make sure that you do that so that you're not committing your API keys to your repository, because then you're gonna have to delete that key and do a bunch of things. Okay, so let's do this. Let's git add, git commit, added the content generation from a YouTube URL. Great, I'm gonna push those changes over there. And then I'm gonna come to my GitHub, compare, share, create a pull request. Again, I like doing this just to keep things organized. In a production app, you will probably have someone actually reviewing this code, but I know the changes that I made. The good thing is that we can see here what I did in this specific step. So I created this, I created the form, I created added this specific type and yada yada, this and this, whatever. Okay, cool. So let's merge this. Confirm merge. Delete the branch. I like deleting the branch because I don't like having like 27 branches still open there. And now we can get checkout main, get pull main, so that I can pull the latest changes. Great. There we go. Now we can go to our next step. Our next step is to display the generated content. So we need to display the generated content. Like once we generate it, then we want to show it. So I'll probably show it just for the time being in like down here. So I'll probably just like have another section here that says like, your content or whatever. So let's do that. And let's check out Daisy UI. Again, what I'm using for my styling, I don't like doing CSS files and none of that. That's annoying to manage. I don't know. That's so 1997. I'm using Tailwind CSS and Daisy UI. So what Tailwind CSS lets me do is to do this. Things like this. Like I can add styling to my app by adding classes to the specific tag or the specific item that I want. And then we can check, for example, we can see here if I select this right here, notice how my tab list has the role tab list, but it has class tabs and tabs boxed. Here, I don't have to figure out how to do a tabs boxed or how to add the little thing and make it look pretty and etc. etc. I just add the classes, and this already like adds the stuff for me. Like you see, it added the border radius, it adds it as a grid and whatever. And same with the other things. Like if I want to do a heading, here it'll do it like that. And the cool thing is that you can have like different sizes depending on what type of screen you have. So if I like shorten this, it changes a bit. I'll probably fix this just so that it's like not, you know what, I'm not even gonna call it Twitter X thread, because like everyone knows what X is now, and that'll just probably look better. Maybe there you go, X thread. Everyone knows what Twitter is now. Okay, cool. So now we're getting to the end here, and I think I'm gonna stop right after displaying the content because it's already been almost 2 hours that I'm in here. So okay, so just to recap, we added a way to provide a YouTube URL, we added a way to retrieve the transcript from the YouTube URL, we added a way to create the prompt and kind of generate the content from the transcript, and then just be able to actually generate the content. And now we're in this final step, which is to actually display the content. Currently we're printing it to the console, but we want to show it to the users. So the first thing that I will do is create a new, no, for now we'll just have it like this. So let's go to our page. So we go to app generator page, and this is the form as we saw here. We just close all others and then come back to that form, to that page again. So as we saw here, we have the header. This header just has this like back button right there, and then the YouTube form has the YouTube form is this section right here, which has the text, the whatever. So now we're gonna add another section below here that will be where we show the content, and this is only gonna show if the content exists, and it's gonna show the kind of like the type of the content that we have. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's do this. So let's create that component for now. So generated content, .tsx. So in here we're gonna have export default function generated content, and then let's go ahead and put here the generated content component will take in a string and display the content with the what does it say, with the appropriate styling. It'll have a heading, a subheading for the type of content generated. So the generator will take in a string for content and one for type of content, and then we'll display it and display the content with the appropriate style. I'm gonna have this, and this, and the content itself. Good. I think that's good for now. So export default generated content. There we go. And booyah. So let's see here. The types allowed are actually, I think if I just do this instead of having string, we'll have blog post, or it's not email, or summary, blog post or summary, or Twitter X thread. There we go. Okay, and the content can be a string. So great. Let's go ahead and see here. Okay, if the type is blog post, then we do blog post. If the type is summary, then we do summary, and otherwise it's a Twitter thread. Let's call it X thread just to keep it organized. And it's setting this as HTML, which is interesting, but I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna set it as the content, like, yes, that's a p tag there. That's more than fine. White space, pre-wrap, leading, relaxed. We'll work on the styling in just a second. Okay, cool. And then here we're going to, what do I want to do? So we have the generated content. So what I think I'm gonna do, and this might be a bit of an anti-pattern, but I'm gonna have that generated content, I'm just gonna put it down here. Why? Because it's easier right now, and I really don't want to think about having to do something else. So generated content. Generated content is complaining because I need to, what is it doing? Oh, it's complaining because I need to actually pass the content. So let's do Oh, why am I putting the generated content inside itself? That's not what I wanted to do. So the generated content, we want to put it right here. So generated content. And the type here, it's complaining because here I have the type as a string because I have it here. But then what I can do is just do blog post, or I could just put a string, honestly, but whatever. Summary or Twitter X thread. Just make sure that it still works. Okay. Okay, great. And as we change this right here, we see that the generated content changes. So depending on what we have, might want to also disable this if we have content. I don't know. Haven't thought that far ahead. Okay, so the content will appear here, and I think there's something here in the this what is this called, Daisy UI, that will look better. Data input, layout. What's an artboard? Okay, so an artboard, no idea what it is. What's a mask? I guess that I can add a shape. Code. I don't know if I want to add code. Can I add a window? Or phone? No. A window. Will a window be good? No. Maybe just a card? Where's a card? Card. I swear I saw a card. So what's the card let me do? I guess it just gives it like a little bit of a nicer thing. What if we just use a card? I won't have a thing at the top. Ooh, that looks dope. Yeah, I think I can just use a card, like a regular card. In this case, this card has a card title, which is this. And what does it have at the top? Oh, this is just part of, this is like an image. Okay, so let's copy this and put in our generated content for now. So what's gonna be, it's like this. This is complaining because I don't even know what it's complaining about. So this is what I'm thinking, and what I'm thinking is to have, instead of, let's do with full. With full will fill the whole thing that it has access to. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to do. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take off the image, this figure image crap, get it that way. There we go. I don't even know what those things are. Card actions, whatever card actions are. So now we'll have the blog post as the title here. So the type as the title. What does it say here now? Shoes. So we're gonna have this batch secondary, whatever. Stop it. So this is gonna be the type. And what does it say how to write a blog post? What are you talking about? Summary, okay. Boom. We'll have it, nah, whatever. We won't have a title. We'll just have it out here. Sure, okay. We have a card, blog post, and then here we'll remove this. And we'll have our content here. So this is the content that will be generated. Great. So now here we're going to have const content. And what we're going to do is, if we do get some content, then I'm going to set the content as this. And there we go. When we start, I'm gonna set the content as empty. I don't know what it did there. So set content as empty. Why am I gonna do that? So that every time I press on the button to generate new content, it'll clear the content that was there before, and then generate a new content there. And then we set the content right there. And then what I need to do is just display this only if there's content. So how can I do that? Well, I can just do this. If content, then show it, right? Like if content, then show the generated content and pass in the type. Okay, let's try this. Let's see, we're gonna generate a summary. Let's paste the URL. It's generating it for me, and if everything goes right, I should see my generated content in just a second. Boom. Generated content, summary. The video review provides an in-depth look at the new Tesla Model 3 performance, refresh, highlighting key improvements and features. The Model 3 is not just a faster version of the Model 3, but it adds a more complex driving experience. There we go. And if I change to like blog post, yeah, I might just have this like not do that. But whatever, if I generate a blog post, I can, how about I just remove that? I don't like that it takes a type. Whatever. Like you already know what you wanted. Like why do I need to tell you? Like you're not dumb. You already know what you generated, so we can just get rid of that. Okay, that's the summary right there. This is generated content. Now, if I generate a Twitter thread, okay, it takes a little bit. There we go. Tweet 1. Tweet 2. For some reason, it's not respecting my thing, and I believe it's because I'm doing this, but if I add like pre, yeah, there we go. Now it separates it, but of course it looks like crap because it goes all the way to the side. So how do we make the pre like actually stay in place? Wrap pre tag. How do we wrap the tag pre tag so I can add white space pre wrap, white space pre wrap. So let's try and do that. Boom, it already knows. There you go. Tweet 1, exciting news, Tesla Model 3, whatever. Tweet 2, tweet 3, tweet 4, tweet 5, tweet 6. Great, and lastly our blog post. If I generate a blog post. Did I do a blog post already? No, I did a summary. Let's see what it does. There you go. Now we generated a blog post here based on a YouTube URL. And just so that you see that it works with any video, let's go ahead and try with something else like multimodal something, I don't even know. So let's say that I just want to know. Like, hey, I don't want to watch the whole video. I just want to get a summary of this. Summary. So here I can already tell. So Rhea AI Labs has introduced a new 3 state-of-the-art models, Rhea Core, Rhea Edge, and Rhea Flash. Rhea is a top-of-the-line multimodal language capable of understanding image, audio, and video. It outperforms other models and benchmarks. There you go. A fully functional YouTube to written content application. There's a lot of things to still do here, like actually add authentication, actually charge for this. I could potentially have like some free version that uses the, OpenAI's APIs, like a very cheap version, and then charge for GPT-4. But yeah, we already have something that turns a YouTube link into generated content. And we could do different things. I could add just an image, or the video here. So while it's generating the content, you see the video. There's many other things to add, but I think we've accomplished the plan in our list. We display the generated content. So just to recap, in this video we added a way to provide a YouTube URL. So as you can see here, you can provide a YouTube URL. and select the type of content that you want to generate. What else did we do? We added a way to retrieve the transcript. So what I'm doing is I'm hitting some APIs to fetch the transcript from the YouTube video, and then I'm using that to generate content. So then I created the prompts that allow us to create the content, and then I'm using that transcript to generate the written content, and lastly, we're displaying it. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're just joining, this does have some limitations since we're just using the transcript. If there's anything that's explained on the video solely through visuals, we are not going to have access to that, but this is a good starting point. Eventually we can improve on it and actually feed the video and have it like look at it. I do believe that models like Gemini Pro 1.5 or Gemini 1.5 Pro allows you to pass in a YouTube URL and it actually like watches the video. I don't know if it does it like frame by frame or something like that, but it actually watches the video. So we could potentially leverage that to have a better kind of like content generation. But at least with this, we can generate our content 3 different formats, and based on the way that we structured it, we can have even more formats going forward. Like if we want to have, I don't know, the key takeaways, or we want to turn this into a LinkedIn post, etc., etc. But this is off right now. We have a very good starting point, and I think this is it. Let's just make sure here for our next thread or Twitter thread what we're gonna see, and boom, it even gives us like some things, and it even looks good. This is what I really like about Tailwind CSS and specifically Daisy UI. Again, this is Daisy UI, is that it's responsive out of the box, like very responsive. So as you can see here right away, like it already looks good. Like I didn't need to do much, just have it write the content, and there we go. So that's pretty much it for this live stream. That was already 2 hours of my life, but in 2 hours from pretty much scratch. I just had a template for the Next.js app, but everything else I built from scratch. You can go back to the beginning of the video and kind of see how we went through it. This was my first stream on YouTube, so I'm not even sure if it had audio. I hope that you could hear me and could hear anything that I said the whole time. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop it in the comments. I'll try to keep track of it and reply with any information that I can provide. So yeah, well, I hope that you continue having an amazing Tuesday, and yeah, use the AI tools that you have available. Stay curious. Peace.